All right, welcome back to the podcast. I am thrilled, and I was just telling before we started this, when I put out the request to this gentleman right here to be on the podcast, I sort of pushed send and sort of was waiting for the response, but he graciously said yes to join me today, and in an unbelievable studio. So today with me is Perry Loveridge of Picture This. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. We appreciate your interest.
Who wouldn't be interested in what's going on here? But before we get into Picture This and what you've built and where we're sort of sitting in the conversation today, how did you get into this business? We just talked about your whole family was sort of dentists and doctors and nurses in the medical field, and you sort of took the other path, a completely different creative path. So walk us through a little bit of your journey.
I was always interested in photography. And my dad, when I was young, got me a Super 8 camera, and we did stop motion pieces, all kinds of fun stuff. And then high school, I decided for my senior project, we built the bridge of the Enterprise in a friend's garage, and we had the transporter room and I think the medical offices as well, and shot a film that's embarrassing to view today, but was a great training ground, and it kind of solidified my love for the media. This was in Sacramento, and from there I moved to Lake Tahoe, and I took some photography classes. And the video was kind of a fledgling industry at that point. Decided that I couldn't stay in Lake Tahoe. It was a great place to ski and to have a lot of fun in, but needed to get some more schooling, and found a great school up in Oregon. And Mount Hood Community College was a well-known video production program. Yes, it was nationally known, and they kicked out so many great students out of the program. Not kicked out; they've produced many great students out of the program. I didn't have the grades to get into USC because I wasn't all that strong academically in high school. So it all just seemed to work out. I moved up here and got a job halfway through school, finished school, kept the job, helped Multnomah Cable Access build the first, one of the very first cable access facilities in the nation. We were the top cable access facility for 5 years in the nation running under Alex Quinn's leadership. And it's been a very interesting ride.
How'd you decide to find the company? How did you do it? And what was the catalyst that said, "Shit, okay, I'm gonna leave doing what I'm doing now," and that gave you a little bit of the catalyst? But walk me through that.
I think cable access was the catalyst, because cable access exists for the community to be able to get their messages out, which is great, and we did thousands of hours of programming, but it was not for me of a qualitative level that I wanted to have in my career. It was more of a quantitative procedure out there. And so I joined with a couple of close friends, Mark Mills and Brian Grubb, and we invested in a camera that at that point cost more than my house. I was very into lighting and starting to become known as a director of photography. Speak Spanish fairly well, and was asked to go down and shoot a long form project in Mexico, in Querétaro, and was a language training thing. And we hundreds of actors, and 6 weeks. It was an amazing process, and that really opened my eyes to the narrative art form. Came back from that, and then they asked us to produce a whole another series for them, and we were off and running as Picture This Production Services.
So that's how. So it just started from one shoot, and then you came back and you said, "That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can do this all day, every day, and let's..."
More, and all day, every day. It seemed to be for a long, long time.
So when was that? How long ago was that you found?
That would have been like the late 80s, early 90s.
So Picture This has been around for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, we were formed in 85. That's when we started.
Here in Portland?
Here in Portland. Actually, out in Gresham. We started in the living room of my house.
A true founder story, right?
That's it, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot to that. So how you sort of seems like you've been on the forward edge of sort of thinking outside the box about thinking about. I mean, shit, look where we are. So, what were sort of a couple little tidbits during that 30-year period where you thought you've either got something, or maybe you thought, I don't have something?
Well, we were always interested in technology, and again, the qualitative aspect of it. So we moved to film, and I learned how to shoot film as opposed to video, which is more of an art form. You learn how to use your eyes more than just staring at a monitor, which was good. We were first in the HD rentals in the marketplace. We were first in 3D. We're first in the technology that's sitting behind us now.
Right.
So we like the technology envelope because it's easier to lead than it is to follow.
Is it?
I think it is because
you have a mindset that way. I think that's good, but it seems like so many people want someone else to start and then they'll follow.
Right.
But it seems you have a starter's mentality.
Well, if you start, then they have to catch up.
But see, and that's a good mindset to have, because I feel like so many people, what we've seen the last couple of years too, is so many people like, what's someone else doing? What's someone else doing? What's someone else doing? And it seems
then nothing ever gets
right,
done.
Exactly. And so it seems like your mentality and mindset is like, who really cares what everyone else is doing? This is where we think that it's going, and then others may follow.
And there's hits and misses, like the 3D stuff. It's like nobody wants to wear glasses. That's the big takeaway from that. Until they get that sourced. I mean, that's even the problem with VR stuff. Is like you got a headset on, right? That's blocking all external input. But for us, it seemed to work better. Now, we're a services company. We're not a production company. What that means is that the producers and directors and folks come to us to help them accomplish their vision, not to just turn it over to us and say, okay, here's your bill. We'll create it from soup to nuts. So sometimes they'll say, we want to provide our own directors. We want to provide our own director of photography. We'll do all the scripting. We'll take care of this and that. And we're there as a partner, not to take the whole piece of pie. We say we don't want the whole pie. We just want a nice little slice of it.
Yeah. Because you sort of give them the environment and the tools to help them sort of create what it is they want to create.
Correct.
Right? I mean, this is one of the things that we're doing here. Like this is a spot where you and your team have sort of laid out an opportunity, right? For, this is a podcast, but like there's so many things that you guys do here that is live and is action based, and the backgrounds change and all of that stuff from a virtual production perspective. So you guys have been forward thinking, it seems, from the very beginning of what you started.
We've tried to be. We bring technology. We have actually a couple of different legs to our the stool that is picture this that we sit on. We have studios in Portland, the studio that we're in a partnership with Coach and Sarge Cine. We have equipment rental department. We have post-production, and then we have a whole live events division out by the airport where we've been very blessed to have clients take us all across Europe and all across the United States, delivering really stellar, memorable programs. So.
Perry, how many people work for Picture This?
So it varies. We're 10 full-time managers of the different departments that we have, and then we bring in freelancers on a job basis as needed. So we can go from, we can do a payroll run of 1 week or 2 weeks where it's slow with, 10, 15 paychecks, and in a busy period, you're 45, 55 paychecks. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep the momentum going to where, you can sustain 40 jobs like a large agency or someone can. So, and as a services company, that's part of the game, right?
It is. Yep.
It's the hills and valleys.
That's
of
right.
production.
And then where the hills and valleys and some of those things, and then how do you keep some sort of a steady stream, through that period?
That's the hardest part. And what we do is leveling.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Leveling with slow and steady growth.
Yeah.
You don't want this growth that's like, 35% increase in figuring out how to manage that, because that's where a lot of people fail.
Yeah.
You'd like slow, steady, incremental growth.
Yeah.
Call it good.
Over 30 years and where you are now, that's pretty damn good.
We've done all right.
Yeah.
We've done it. We've been surrounded by great people that have gotten us there, and it's good.
Yeah. So you were bragging a little bit about some of your teammates, and I think that would be interesting to sort of talk about,
yeah.
Justin was one who's sort of behind the camera now and what he's done. And you guys got 10 people. So,
well, I mean, I think
how have they made you better? How have they made the company better?
The first person is my partner, which is my wife. And she does so much behind the scenes with marketing and helping with oversee bookwork and a lot of aspects of the company and keeping me sane, keeping me grounded, keeping me balanced. Sari is just an amazing person and, a true co-owner of the company. So a lot of creative comes out of her as well. And then it's a family-owned company. I'm lucky to have both my boys work for us. One manages the studios and the equipment room and post-production, and that's Carson. And then Hunter manages our live events division. He's on a plane right now somewhere doing something, and I've taken them to Europe on shows, all across America on shows. And my job at this point in my career is to try and hand down my knowledge to others so that they can have all the fun. Yeah. Then we're also, so for instance, the technology here, Justin Rapp, our visual effects supervisor at Picture This, really was a driving impetus behind this. Right before COVID hit, we owned lots of video wall because we would set them up on locations for big live events. Projection is starting to morph into this, and Justin came to us and said, wow, there's this really incredible technology out there. I've been doing some experimentation at home. I think we should look into it. And we talked to Hunter about it, and Hunter said, well, there's a whole other component. There's all the tracking to be able to make this work. I can take that piece. Justin took this, and really it's been, since the very first Unreal Engine edition of the software for this, it's been a constant growing experience. And for Justin, he's really embraced this, really figured out how to make it go for us, and the strongest driver for Picture This. And I'm telling you, there's a handful of people in the United States with that skill set. He's a very rare cat.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be able to sort of come up with that, and then I get almost, it's like this sort of epiphany or forward thinking, like you've been your whole career, right? It seems. So you said right, sort of at the start of COVID, which it seems. I mean, in the last 2 years, how many videos are sort of shot this way now? Not that videos, but
projects,
projects or features or commercials or ads or. I mean, podcasts, right? I mean, like whatever,
right?
Are now using this medium.
Well, it's so. First of all, let's talk about what the medium is, and then how it's being adapted. So, this is kind of the biggest change in technology since green screen and blue screen, right? So green screen or blue screen is a process where there's green back behind. Everybody's seen it before, and that is replaced digitally in post-production with different backgrounds and tracking markers to be able to track stuff through the frame, things like that. The difference with this technology, this runs on Unreal Engine. It's powered, I like to say it's super powered by Intel. So their largest computers, their heaviest lifters to be able to do all this processing. Yeah. And Unreal Engine, for those of you that know it, is a gaming platform, or started as a gaming platform, where you get into environments, you wear a VR headset, and once you're in that environment, you can move around. And you can look up and down, you can go look behind rocks, trees, do whatever you want. So as Unreal morphed into this technology, the camera essentially becomes the headset. So as the camera moves, as a difference between this and a traditional just plate photography, where we'd be just putting something up in the background, is that as the camera moves, the background shifts too, what we call parallax. So you can see above and behind. Things shift back behind as we move, instead of just shooting in front of a traditional plate. It also, in this environment, uses that same 360-degree environment in Unreal Engine to provide ambient lighting that matches. So
that's,
Right. So as the
Part of
camera
this.
moves or as we change backgrounds, that all changes with us. Now, if we were trying to do this in green screen, we'd be using all traditional practical lighting and trying to match into it, right? What we do in Unreal Engine is use very little practical lighting and let the environment make it look realistic. So that's why in shows like Mandalorian and many other projects you see, it's very hard to tell where the wall begins and where reality ends.
So there's a lot of pre-production in doing that, right? Like in terms of getting the backgrounds prepared and ready, it's less post. I mean, I'm not going to say less post-production because it's certainly post, but planning the environments in advance is a tremendous component, right? The planning side of it
and pre-visualization is critical. It's in green screen, there is. You've heard the comment before, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it's certainly a solution to go back in and clean stuff up in post. This will probably get edited and all the mistakes that I've made you won't see those, which is perfect. But in this environment, we have to choose, we work with the client to say, okay, what is the world we want to be in? Is it Paris? Is it Venice?
Right.
Is it
a
desert?
lab?
Is it a lab? Is it Mars or the moon where we've done stuff?
Right.
And then work with them. They come into these environments and they can do a virtual site check and move around in this entire environment and say, I like this next to this rock here. I think I want it to be 3:00 in the afternoon. More cloud cover. I want it to be kind of a cloudy day, more nimbus clouds instead of cumulus clouds, or no, I just want blue sky and the occasional thing coming through. And so that's all set up in advance, right? And we pre-visualize that so when they come in, we can really plow through pages of script and the looks, and they can focus more on performance and things. It's very hard to come in and just go on the fly. It can be done, but it's more time consuming. And the technology's it's not inexpensive. It's
it doesn't seem inexpensive.
There's a lot of technology at play here between the cameras and the crew and the video walls and the processing. It stacks up.
I mean, the setup here, right? We got cameras, we got a dolly on the camera, we got another camera, we got it's honestly, it gives me a little bit of an insight of like what it's like to be on a screen. It's incredible. So this is the Salt Flats?
This is the Salt Flats, right? And we did a clothing company production on this to where we had to build. So if you can see in the wide shot, right now we're on a cement floor. And if you look through the reel, you'll see that in some instances, the floor is treated with a wet treatment. Some places we have replaced the floor. You look at Mandalorian and it's all, they got the same thing. It's a cement floor. So you build up a floor, or what we call a practical set on top of it, right?
Okay,
where you get trees and whatever else you want to put in to hide the line, and you kind of break it up so that you can't see that, and then all of a sudden you're off and running. The advantages.
Look at that, man! It's like you're, like you said, so the camera is sort of your VR piece of it, or at least the headset piece of it. So it's constantly moving.
Oh, and that's the thing, so if let's say you want to go do a shootout here on the Salt Flats, well, you've got to get everybody together. You got to get everybody transported. You've got to get all the gear transported. You've got to hope for the right weather day.
Right.
If it's a car commercial, it's got to be, we want the sunset shot. So we're going to be here for a full week
to make sure we get the sunset
shot and the weather's here, right? All these things. Whereas once you get in here, it's always 5:00. It never rains. Everybody gets to go home at night, which is a really awesome thing, sleeping in your own bed. And you get to be very highly productive. So I think the costs are more than offset with doing large company moves. And if you've got multiple locations, that's just another company move. That's more days. That's more time. That's more transpo. That's more everything.
The total cost of doing that.
Right.
So I feel like you're sort of living in the next right now with all of this. What do you think is that you're willing to share? What's
next?
Yeah.
Well, we feel that this is going to continue to evolve.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the only paintbrush that a director of photography has, but it's a super strong brush.
Oh yeah.
So when you can use it, you do. And when it makes sense, you do, right? I mean, there's some stuff that it's easier to go shoot exteriors or in office buildings because you've got to build the environment, and you've got to do a lot of work to make it happen. But this technology is not going to go away. Yeah. It's too well entrenched now. It's, we see too much stuff happening in narrative on Netflix and from Paramount and Disney that are shooting in these kind of environments to where you can really flip through pages of script.
And this is like the last couple of years, has this really like hockey sticked in terms of its value?
Major. I'd say since Mandalorian came out and first brought it to public consciousness, then all of a sudden we're starting to see some more of these facilities pop up around the United States. And there's not a lot. I mean, it's a handful of them, right? And
we're sitting in, rural Oregon, really. I mean, doing this, it's incredible to have.
It takes a dedicated space. So we're lucky with Coach and Sarge Cine that they offered to partner with us to park it here. So, I mean, we have other studios in Portland, but to set this up and take it down is a day and a half with 5 or 6 guys, right? Yeah. So then the build and strike and rebuild becomes pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And so if you can find a spot like this that works, then that helps save the client's money.
Yeah.
Helps it work more. The side walls on this move in and out. So if you're doing car running shots, running footage, you can move it in so you get the reflections.
I was actually thinking that when you said bringing cars in here, I was wondering like, well, how do you show the car actually moving? So you're moving the screen.
Well, so let's say you're doing it the standard way with an insert car, right? Where you've got it up on a trailer and they're driving around. So you really don't see the car moving except if they go back in and get a shot of the car driving through. But most of it's, the guy behind the steering wheel, the lady behind the steering wheel, doing their thing and reverses off both sides. And that all happens right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
And this, you got Coach and Sarge have everything in here. I mean,
they're amazing. They're amazing.
Those guys, it was great to get a chance to meet them too. I mean, they're just salt of the earth, great people. And they, similar to you, and this is funny where how partnerships come together. I mean, they have, I don't know if it's internship or whatever, but their relationship with Pacific University, right? So like there's that whole entree of students, what you are doing from an internship perspective,
right?
Like you're really trying to bring up that next generation of talent and people that are like wanting to learn this.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a me.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an us. And how do you build the industry?
Yeah.
Make Oregon stronger, put more people to work.
Yeah.
They're doing a wonderful job of that. I mean, that's the difference between some companies and others. Some companies have that belief and others are, I'm just here to make the money and get the hell out.
Yeah. So if you had a chance to have a cocktail or a coffee with anyone in anyone, generally, who would that be?
Oh, the dinner party. Yeah, the dinner party thing. Well, I mean, Ben Franklin would definitely be there. Spielberg would have to be there. He was very influential. I think maybe Gandhi would be pretty cool to have at the dinner, right? I think Amelia Earhart would be awesome. Right?
It's a great dinner.
Yeah. I mean, just to be able to mix it up and have, it might be interesting to have somebody there that's like truly that you don't enjoy it all, just for the contrast.
Yeah.
Just for the contrast. Go, that's why I don't
We won't name names, but someone that, okay, got it. Yeah. Perry, did we not talk about anything that you wanted to cover or share about the company or share about what you guys are doing?
Well, I'd like to do a shout out of thanks to some people.
Yeah, please.
Is it okay if I go to a note?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so I don't screw it up?
Yeah, absolutely. Because this theme throughout is about people. So I think you'd be remiss.
So, again, my wife, Sari, my son, Carson, who keeps the whole shop running and does a much better job of it than I ever did. Hunter, that does all the live events and keeps that all up and going and helped with all the motive and was also an instigator and a driver behind this. Justin Rapp for bringing the idea.
Yeah, I mean,
bringing the idea to us and saying, hey, what about, and the timing was perfect. We're COVID. It's like, I think we can
try it.
I think we can give this a try.
Yeah.
We've got it.
Yeah.
Roy Hill, he's the senior marketing engineer at Intel for Workstation Group. The computers that we're running on this thing are the biggest and the best. They're not an expensive processing power. Yeah. Mike Premi brought us all the side workstations and stuff to help this go. He's also with Intel. Intel's well behind the technology, behind getting local businesses up and going, and are really good partners.
Oh man.
They're just the shizzle.
Yeah.
And then Coach and Sarge for hosting us out here and being such strong partners. And all the folks that picture this. From Andrew, the bookkeeper, to Nathan, our coordinator, and Ian, that's always putting together equipment, and the interns. It's just the people. I hate to say it again, but I'm going to say it again. The people are what make it special.
Yeah. So for people who want to learn more about Picture This, about what it is, more about what it is you guys are doing, some examples of the things, and we'll have several of that stuff on our podcast and things, but where do they go to learn about that? Where do they go to learn about?
You can visit us. The URL for the website is www.pixthis.com, and that's P like Papa, I like India, X like X-ray, T like Tango, H like Hotel, I like India, S like Sierra.com. Pixthis.com.
You haven't had to say that many times, have you?
I haven't. I'm pretty good at the alphabet that way.
Yeah.
From being a boater.
This is an incredible opportunity for you guys to host us here and to share the morning with us and show us the kick-ass stuff that you guys are doing. It definitely is the future. Thanks, man.
Cheers.